Christy.
Did you hear the joke about Labor Day?
I don't think so.
It doesn't work for me.
Oh, ow. That one actually hurt.
Hi, I'm Christy.
And I'm Edith. We're backyard gardeners from Colorado.
And neighbors.
And friends.
These days, gardening has gotten very popular.
And we've noticed more and more people picking our brains for tips and troubleshooting about gardening.
We're not experts. We just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we made along the way.
So welcome to Upside Down Tulips,
a fun podcast that celebrates gardening gone wrong.
Upside Down Tulips.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Edith.
How you doing?
I love September.
I do too.
I'm excited that this week we're talking about all the things you can do for your September garden.
It's always a changing garden, especially in September.
I think if I had to pick my favorite month,
I
think it's September.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, first of all, I fell in love with my handsome and handy husband in September.
Oh.
We got married in September.
Okay, all the reasons are good.
One of my favorite things to do in September as a kid was go to the Minnesota State Fair in September.
Oh, that is a good thing.
And of course,
it's the gateway to fall, which is why I like it. It's the number 9. It's the 9th month. And I love the number 9.
9, of course, has all these important significance in the world. There are great songs about September.
Yes, there are. And I'm out of reasons to love September now.
Well, September 1st was Saint Fiacre Day, which is the patron saint of gardening. Edith, did you have a good feast of Saint Fiacre?
Well, no, it's not like I actively celebrated it. However, we got a letter about it.
Yes.
We love letters. And Chad, thank you for writing in and pointing out that in our e-blast, we spelled Fiacre wrong, right? We spelled it so that it would be pronounced fiarce, which is not good. That's like a combo of fierce and farce, which is not what you want to say about a saint, right?
That would be bad.
So I did a little bit of research, and what's interesting is he went from Ireland to France. He's also celebrated in France. So I looked up how to say his name in French, and it's Fiacre. Like Fiacre. And so many things in French, you know how I love the French, they end in that sound, like fin de siècle. And I figured out why. I think it is because they have such good food. They always have delicious food in their mouth. So when they're talking, they have to go so that it doesn't slide down their throat.
How come no one has ever figured this out before, Edith?
I don't know. Maybe nobody has a lot of solitary time in the garden to think about these things.
I think you should write a grant and get that funded.
Thank you.
So you could spread the word out.
Christy, thank you for your support, which could be satirical, but I'll take it. I'll take anything I can get.
Satirical support provided by Christy.
So anyway, that was an interesting thing. And thank you, Chad, for pointing out our errors.
We make mistakes not just in the garden.
We make mistakes morning till night. One of our curmudgeons, John, wrote an article in the Denver Gazette about sunflowers.
Let's tell folks what a curmudgeon is, Edith.
Oh, yes, let's do. A curmudgeon is somebody who supports us to the tune of $2 a month. We appreciate that more than you know. If 1 million of you would only do that, if we had 1 million curmudgeons, Christy and I could keep doing this with great ease and luxury. Anyway, so he wrote an article, and the interesting thing is, in Littleton, Colorado, it's considered a weed, but it also fights radiation.
Sunflowers.
After Chernobyl, they planted sunflowers to eat up the radiation. I didn't know that.
Plants are amazing.
They're amazing. And thank you, John, for that wonderful gardening article.
Yeah, maybe we'll put a link to it on the show notes.
Oh, let's do it. Oh, that's a great idea. We get to do whatever we want.
And thanks,
Christy?
John, for being a curmudgeon. Thanks to everybody else who's a member of our garden party. So you might be a lawn chair lettuce. You might be a deadheader. You might be a mother or father nature. And just means you throw us a couple bucks a month to help support the podcast. And in return, you give our undying thanks, seeds from our gardens, and depending upon the level, some Upside Down Tulips merchandise.
Okay, excellent. And Let's see, what else? What else? Christy, what else about your garden? I have more to say, but let's let you talk for a while.
Okay. Well, last week, Edith, I said that my garden hated me.
Yeah.
And I think it's going through the stages of forgiveness right now.
Good.
It still looks a little crabby at me, but I'll tell you one thing that's great about the garden is that as mad as it is, and maybe it hasn't forgiven, but it sure is giving.
Oh my gosh.
Because now the harvest is coming in.
Yeah. Full strength.
Full strength. It's like a tsunami.
Yep.
I had a tsunami of tomatoes that I felt, to be honest, overwhelmed by all the tomatoes.
Sure.
And you have that many in. And there they are in the kitchen staring at you. Now my tomatoes are mad at me. But I did spend a long time in the kitchen and I did a couple quick things.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of tomatoes out there, the one thing I did was I took all the larger ones and I popped them in boiling water for about 30 seconds and got the skins off. And then I processed it in the food processor, put it in a freezer bag, and put it in the freezer.
Can I add to that I did the same thing, except I did not process it? Because once I took it out and took the skins off, I dumped it right into a bag, not having had the time to do more. And it's actually, you can process it later if you're short on time.
You know what? I even think you could can it later if you wanted to, too. Couldn't you, Edith?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, folks, I think you could, if you put that in the freezer, still can those tomatoes. And we take the skins off because the skins can get a little bitter.
They can. Sometimes I don't take them off.
Sometimes I don't either.
But yeah, sometimes I do if I have the time. Well, that's good, Christy.
Another thing I did with tomatoes, because I had a huge bucket full of cherry tomatoes, I cut them in half.
Yeah.
I laid them on some parchment paper on cookie sheets.
Yeah.
And I put them in the oven at 200 degrees.
Oh, for how long?
Well, the instructions I got said for about 2 to 3 hours until the water was gone and they felt a little leathery.
Yeah.
I had them in there for 5 hours.
Now, I just ate one of those upstairs, right?
You did.
They're so good. They're so delicious. So now what do you do with them?
I'm either going to freeze them or I could put them in oil in a jar. Well, they'll last longer.
Okay, so if you freeze them, you can take it out and you can make a sauce out of them or something.
Or you could sprinkle them on pizza or on salads.
Christy, they're so good.
Use them like raisins in a savory way.
In a savory way. They do. They look like little currants. They're so delicious. I couldn't get over it.
Oh, I also sprinkled salt on them.
Oh, good.
That's probably also why it tasted good, too.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of surprised by the amount of salt I had to put on it.
Wow. Delicious.
So I'm assuming I'll be doing that again this weekend, too.
I did a horrible mistake in my garden this week, Christy. And shame on me, because last week when we were talking about harvesting, when is it ripe, you asked me if I had smelled my cantaloupe. And I had a, slightly snarky remark. No, Christy, I haven't laid face down in my cantaloupe yet. That's what I said to you.
You do a really good impersonation of yourself.
Thank you. I don't. What a compliment for an actor. Thank you.
You play you the best.
I play me. It's all about me. Christy, I went out there and I had let them get so overripe that I lost one.
Oh, that's so sad.
I even had it on cardboard. It got so overripe that the insects climbed up on the cardboard. The rind was so soft, they made holes, and they were living in my cantaloupe.
Oh.
Ants and bugs.
Oh.
My own damn fault. My fault entirely for not getting down there.
So frustrating. I feel for you.
I literally touched the cantaloupe, and it literally jumped into my hand.
Okay.
That's how easy it was. But I harvested 4 of them. 1 was bad, but 3 were delicious.
Well, Edith, yesterday I came down here into my office. I hadn't been here in a couple of days because I've been in rehearsal for a play for the live theater. And I thought something didn't smell right.
Uh-oh.
And
it wasn't sauerkraut. He's already gone.
Yeah, Gunther has been put to the compost pile.
He's gone.
But I don't know, it smelled kind of earthy, or it was kind of hard to describe it. It smelled warm, if that is possible, like a warm, earthy smell.
Interesting.
Like, what is that? And then I looked over, and remember last week when I showed you the pumpkin, the green pumpkin that the squirrel had eaten at the bottom?
Yes.
It was over here on the side table, and I went, is it the pumpkin? And I reached over to touch it.
Yeah.
And as I touched it, the whole thing deflated in my hands, and this rotting pumpkin smell came all over the place. So I guess we've had some exploding melons and pumpkins.
Yeah. Not something Starbucks will probably pick up. Will they? Exploding
That's right.
pumpkin latte?
Yes, it's September. It's time for it, isn't it?
It's time.
And one thing I want to celebrate in my garden
Yes.
is that as much as my garden was mad at me and it's giving me something, I think what it's giving me so beautifully this last week are those African marigolds I planted this year.
The tall ones, right?
These are brand new, folks. I winter sowed these, which means I started these in milk jugs in, I think, April. It's a method of starting seeds outside. I started them in April by seed, and then I planted them in this border right by my back door. And these are like 2 to 3 feet tall, don't you think, Edith?
They are very tall. They're beautiful.
Big orange and yellow pom-poms. Make a note of this, friends, because this is a seed that is good for zones 2 to 11.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Wow, that is so great.
It's good in bad soil, poor soil. So
You just can't go wrong with any kind of a marigold, actually. The French marigolds, which is what I have, every time I read an article about gardening, it says they help deter insects. Every single time. I did a little bit of research because I was asked a question by my son, who's also a gardener and a beginner, about grasshoppers and locusts. Are they the same thing? They're not. They're in the same family. But get this, grasshoppers are solitary. I have noticed more grasshoppers.
there have been a lot this year.
And locusts are gregarious. Now, I thought that meant talkative. It means, in this instance, they form social groups. And by social groups, I mean the social group could be 1 billion of them. And they can travel further. Once they get in groups, they literally form serotonin that changes their appearance. So that keeps predators away. They get yellow and black. And then they go, and just like in the biblical times, and when the settlers did America, they didn't do America. They settled America, of course. There were many, many locusts at that time. There was an infestation of 4 miles long in 2008 in Australia. Yeah.
Wow.
Like last year, East Africa. I mean, it's really interesting. And I thought I would share that bit of info that I had.
I'm glad I just have grasshoppers.
Me too. Me too. Salt Lake City had locusts.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
we have a lot of listeners from Salt Lake City.
We do.
You
yes.
folks should write in and tell us about it.
Tell us if you were experiencing a locust thing. Not that we want to get end time-ish, but
Hey, Edith, as you talk about your garden, can you also tell me what's going on with your plum tree?
Oh, Christy. Oh, my gosh. Okay. One of the things they thought might be wrong with it was that I didn't plant it well enough. Remember how we always say a big hole and
$50
fan
hole,
out,
yeah.
and fan out the roots?
Yeah.
So I scraped away. I didn't dig. I scraped away over the root to see if it was fanning out or if it was curled into a ball. Because that takes a couple of years to manifest. And when it curls into a ball, it can no longer suck up water and it slowly dies. Christy, I did it okay. I followed the root and it was like, I followed it 1.5 feet and it went out.
Okay.
They don't know yet what happened.
And who's they?
Oh, the Colorado State University Extension. They came out and they sent a team of fruit tree team, they call it, the fruit tree team. And they came out and they collected the bugs they found in the tree.
Oh.
Bark. She told me, go halfway up the trunk and scrape a little bit of bark. Underneath, it should be tan. It wasn't tan. It was Like, have you ever had dry rot in your house? It was dry rot. I think my tree is done.
Oh,
I know it's heartbreaking.
I feel so bad because I know how much you love that tree.
I planted that tree. I love that tree.
You love it when it blooms. You love it. You love the fruit. I've had your plum jam before, which is so wonderful.
Well, I'm just going to have to plant another one. And the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a branch of it and I'm going to take it to the extension office. And I don't know how much it'll cost me, but I think it'll be worth it to find out what happened.
Yes.
My peach tree, not 15 yards away, is beautiful and robust. It has not even gotten near the peach tree. Isn't that interesting?
Well, and if people have problems in their yard, isn't it interesting to know that you can call your county extension office and have them, and they can be a resource for you. And your taxes paid for it, right?
Yes, in most instances, it is free. And they are so knowledgeable and so kind that you really want to use that as a resource.
Cool. Anything else happening in your garden?
Nothing. Well, maybe we can get into some of the September garden. I'll bring it up in the September garden segment of this podcast.
Okay. Well, folks, if there are words or terms you're not familiar with, go to our website at upsidedowntulips.com and check out the Upside Down Dictionary.
Or the upside down tulips. You almost said tulips. And I'm saying that just because I can't find the place on the outline. Here we go.
You know what I say about that, Edith?
What?
Fiacre.
Fiacre. Oh, fiacre yourself. Or click on the link in our show notes.
And see what we've got on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and on our YouTube channel.
And now, here is a brand new episode of The Suburbanites.
I wonder what's going on with Madge and June.
Love Madge and June. June! Hi, I let myself in.
Coming!
June, what are you wearing?
Isn't it great? Fred got it for me.
June, ever since you started gardening with your husband, you've just gotten weirder and weirder. And now it looks like you're in your own personal quarantine. Oh, no. You don't have the mumps, do you?
No, I got the vaccine for that.
Are you hiding weight gain or are you just bloated? I'm sorry, June, but there are better ways to disguise that. Look at me. I'm wearing 2 girdles right now.
No, Madge. It's not bloating. It's actually...
Is Fred sending you to an Eastern European nunnery whose members wear boxy trousers and big hats with veils?
This is a beekeeper's outfit. Fred and I have become beekeepers.
What? That's crazy. It's 1961. Nobody keeps bees. In fact, that's why I'm here. I saw a bunch of them yesterday flying and hugging each other. So I'm letting you know to stay in the house because I'm spraying those killer bees with this insecticide.
No, Madge, they're not killer bees. Those are our bees. What you saw was a virgin bee flight, and the queen bee was mating with drones.
Mating? While flying and in front of everyone?
Yes. She then stores the sperm to use for the rest of her life.
Storing sperm in full view of the children?
Maybe that's why they call it the birds and the bees.
That's just inappropriate. I think we'd be better off without them.
Madge, please, just let me explain how awful a world without bees would be.
No, I have bees to kill. See you later, June.
Madge, sit down.
Stay tuned for more of The Suburbanites, brought to you by cigarettes.
And now we're going to leave Madge and June and come back to Christy and Edith.
Nice.
Love me my segues.
Hey, Edith, do you have any favorite September songs?
There's one, but I can't think of it right now. Remember the Time of September from the Fantastics.
Try to remember the kind of September. My favorite is, I've been singing it all week because I've been preparing for this episode. Neil Diamond, September morn. We danced until the night became a brand new day. Sorry.
Folks, how much have we missed Christy singing? It's been months. I love it so much. Nice job, Christy.
What's great about September is that now the earth is warm, but the air is cool. So there's still a lot of gardening that can happen.
Yes, absolutely a lot of gardening.
We should do a zone disclaimer,
Yeah.
which means that, folks, we're zone 5B. So your situation might be a little earlier, might be a little later. And
Yes.
check in the show notes, and we'll put down how you can find your zone if you don't know your own personal zone.
Got to know your zone.
But what you accomplish in September, if you do a lot of gardening now, it also means you have less to do in the spring.
That's so true.
So you can make your to-do list a little differently in the spring. I think the most important thing to do in September is to keep your eye on the weather.
Yeah, because of the frost.
It can be so unpredictable. Sometimes it's nice out and mild. Sometimes you're getting a hurricane.
Christy,
Like
a year
Hurricane
ago,
Ida.
Yes, and a year ago, I think almost to the day, like in the beginning, the first week of September, we had snow last year.
Can
Remember?
you believe that? I was so
Yes.
mad. I
Yes.
was so mad.
Remember? And it was like 100 degrees, and then the next day it snowed.
Snow. And we made blanket forts out of our entire yard.
Yeah, brought everything in that we possibly could.
Yeah, it's so unpredictable.
Not
what
this
can
year.
happen.
This year's kind of really nice.
Yes. Though I do want to say I feel sad for all our friends that were affected by Hurricane Ida
Unbelievable.
in the south and the north.
Yeah.
They have way too much rain. We could use a little rain, couldn't we?
We could.
Yeah, so check out for frost warnings. Make sure that you have a tarp or a sheet or buckets or knowing when you have to bring things in September.
Check every single day if your cantaloupe is ripe. For heaven's sakes. Keep checking.
Yeah. That you missed 2 days and then there it went, huh?
Oh, no. It had been ripe for a long time.
Okay.
Do you know what I did wrong? And I will definitely correct it. So this year I had a garden planner, and I wrote down every single thing when I planted it. What I didn't write down in my date planner book is how many days from planting day it was supposed to be ripe, which I will do next year. Folks, that's such a good idea, because then you look at your planner, and the week of September 1st is 120 days or whatever since I planted it.
Oh, yeah.
Put me on alert.
Oh, right. You could have gone,
I could have gone, oh, look, I planted this, 90 days ago. I should go look at it.
folks, we just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we've made along the way.
Yeah, gardening gone wrong indeed.
And then speaking of making notes, in
Yeah.
September is also a great time to make a chart about, if you haven't already, made a chart about where your vegetables are so you can rotate. It's a great time to do that.
Yep.
It's a great time to start making notes about how everything else went this year so that when it becomes spring, I always think I'm going to remember and then I forget.
I never remember anything, ever. Did I just say that? Kidding.
If you're in a dry area like us, folks, in the Denver metro area, in the high plains, it's good to make sure you keep watering.
Yep, keep watering.
Of course, nobody in New York and New Jersey needs water right now, but keep an eye on watering and don't fertilize.
Do not fertilize. Too late to fertilize.
Yeah, why is that, Edith?
Because the plant is set. It doesn't need any fertilization now. It's going into the mode of ripening its fruit rather than growing its foliage.
You can even feel it in the air, can't you? Like if the earth is expanding, I could feel it. I could feel the earth contracting.
Yeah, absolutely. We could actually, if we could do that now, get a little bit specific about like what I just said about the foliage for tomatoes in September. This is a good time to pinch off the top of all your tomato plants. Because what you want to happen now is for the fruit that it has to ripen and get bigger. You don't really there's no time for the blossoms to continue their growth before the first frost.
Boy, can I tell you what?
What?
That is so hard for me to do.
It is so hard.
I have trouble thinning. I have trouble pruning. I have trouble topping off the tomatoes because
You're hopeful.
Yes, I'm hopeful,
You're hopeful.
but a realist person because you want to put more energy into the tomatoes that you have. So
Yes.
anything that's flowering in our zone right now, if I see a flower, that flower is not going to make it to be a tomato.
Right. So,
Most likely.
Most likely, exactly. So work with what you have at this point. Very good.
It's also a good time to collect seeds.
Yes. Oh,
Vegetable garden and in the flower garden.
So listen, Christy, I planted something new this year that I never planted before, which is fennel. And it now has beautiful white flowers on it. So I wondered, what do I do with fennel? I don't even know what it is. So I did some looking up on it. Do you know it is great for digestion? I'm going to let it go to seed. I'm going to collect the seeds. I'm going to dry the leaves, and I'm going to make fennel tea.
Oh, nice.
It's supposed to be absolutely wonderful for all kinds. It's medicinal.
I've been collecting fennel seeds for years, and this year I didn't grow fennel just because I have a lot of seeds already. I've tried to get the nice, healthy fennel bulb like you'll get in the grocery store.
Yes.
It has never worked for me.
Really?
And fennel has that lovely anise taste to
Like
it,
licorice.
like licorice. And it's great to roast fennel, or you can shave it and put it in salads. It's delicious in that.
By shaving, you mean cut, right? Is that what you mean? Okay.
However, I've never been able to get the bulb. It's just been about the seeds. And I use the fennel seeds in cooking all the time.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm glad I grew it, and I will try to dig up that bulb. But I should wait until after the seeds come, right? It won't make the bulb bitter, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I've not had luck with it. If anybody out there has had luck growing fennel, we'd love to hear your tips and your tricks for it, because it's such a wonderful thing to grow.
Yeah, and we don't know. And what do we say when we don't know? Fiacre.
That's right. Can I also say another general thing people should do is to keep weeding?
Yes.
I'm not doing it right now.
Your garden will thank you next year. You will thank yourself next year.
I've heard this phrase, Edith, 1 year seed, 7 years weed.
Oh, wow.
So don't let your weeds set seed. Some species are actually easier to get rid of in the fall than they are in the spring. And let's see the last thing I'll say for general stuff before we dig it more into veggies, Edith, is that it's also a great time to turn the compost.
Turn the compost. Good.
We'll see if I can remember to do it this year. I did it last year, and I was really glad I did.
Let's do it for sure. I will call you and remind you.
Okay. Will you come over with a pitchfork and a shovel, too?
No.
Fiacre.
Now, peppers are ripening. Chili peppers ripen best on the vine. Sweet peppers, however, will ripen after you pick them.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either. I hope that is true.
I believe you.
I think I believe myself, too. Sweet peppers left on the plant will keep fresh longer than those harvested. Now, that, of course, makes total sense.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. You can bring your pepper plant inside before the first frost.
I'm doing that this year.
Or you can take the whole plant, dig up the whole entire plant, and it will continue to ripen.
I've done that in the garage.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, I did it a couple years ago. Some year when we got an early frost and I just didn't have time to deal with it. All I had time was to pull it out of the ground and shove it in the garage.
Okay. Well,
and then I went a month later and I went, I have peppers here.
That is so cool. I have never done that. I'm going to do that.
Oh, my neighbor's working on their lawn right now. Can you hear all the lawn equipment?
Yes. Eggplant. I have some eggplant. Now, I know you do too. It's best to harvest them when they are small and shiny. Make sure they're shiny.
And they will bounce back when you hold it in your hand and you squeeze it.
Mm-hmm. You can lift it. You can take your carrots out. When you harvest your carrots, cut the top off. Because if you don't cut the top off, they think they're still growing.
Oh, that is such a good tip, Edith.
And it's so weird at the grocery store when they sell quote-unquote organic carrots and they've got the tops still on.
Yes.
They get rubbery if you leave them like
that. That is good. So don't buy those in the grocery store. Get them with the tops cut off in the grocery store.
Yes.
That's a great tip.
Grow your own.
Yes, of course.
Come on, guys. We're going to grow our own stuff.
What about pumpkins?
Yeah, pumpkins. You can kind of tell when a pumpkin's ripe. I've never grown pumpkins.
Yeah, I think that and folks, that one pumpkin I have out there so far is still okay. I've heard it's good in September to prop them up. I think I need to do that with my pumpkins in September.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Are you planting anything?
Yes, I've planted radishes, I planted spinach, and I've planted lettuce. So one spinach is up. I noticed it yesterday. One little spinach is up.
Oh, I'm jealous. I planted spinach. It didn't come up, so I'm going to replant again.
It's been too hot.
Oh,
They don't like the heat. They won't germinate.
And now it's September.
Now it's September, and he finally germinated one of them. I hope I have more today.
I planted some lettuce that's up. I planted beets that are up. And I planted some carrots. A couple of my carrots came up. And maybe that'll be for a winter crop. But there are still things you can plant in September, folks.
The greens, a lot of the greens you can plant. And finally, what about cleanup?
In the vegetable garden, if things are done in the vegetable garden, pull them up and either put it in the compost bin, or if it's been diseased at all, throw it in the garbage.
So just like I never do in my house, you clean up as you go so that it's not one big overwhelming task, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's find out what's happening to Magic June.
Okay.
Previously on The Suburbanites.
No, I have bees to kill. See you later, June.
Madge, sit down.
I'm sitting, okay? What's gotten into you? No one except my husband is allowed to talk to me in that tone.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but you have to understand, without bees, human beings won't last very long.
Oh, I think we can live without honey. Hey, have you tried this new Sweet and Low? A wonderful no-calorie sugar substitute?
There are things far more important than the calories in honey.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Without bees, nothing gets pollinated. No flowers, no vegetables, no fruit. If you spray, beneficial nematodes that attack and kill pests in the ground will also be killed, as well as other insects. No insects, birds starve. So no birds, no bees, no insects. The damage goes on and on. Please don't use chemicals on our bees.
But what about better living through chemistry?
Maybe we shouldn't live by an advertising slogan from DuPont Chemicals.
Well, I'm going to have to think about this, June. I've got to go. I'm hosting another Tupperware party. If you're coming, please change your clothes.
I won't be able to make it. I'm busy as a bee. Here, take these honey muffins. I made them for you.
Thank you. Oh, no.
Don't mind them, Madge. They're just coming back to the hive. Be happy. Bye. Wait a minute. Be happy. Be happy. How about a line of products made from honey? Oh, I think I found what I was born to do. Fred, your wife is going to be an entrepreneur.
Tune in next time to The Suburbanites, brought to you by cigarettes, cigars, and pipe tobacco.
June is going to be a beekeeper.
Yes, she is.
I'm jealous.
Oh, I know you are. You kind of inspired me, actually, when you were talking about wanting to be a beekeeper.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
You're June.
Any more September songs you like, Edith? How
No.
about Will I See You in September?
I'm not going to sing. Stop doing that with your hand. I'm not going to sing. You are the one with the voice, not me.
Oh,
what I'm going to
you can sing.
No, I can't.
Oh,
I'm going to
nonsense.
talk about a couple more things about the September garden.
okay, go for it.
Because we have discussed how a side crop of broccoli is possible if you cut the head off and leave the plant. And I do have little tiny broccolis coming. However, this is also the season for aphid eggs. If you look at your broccoli and the leaf is curled in on itself, folded over, if you open it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see it covered in eggs.
Ooh.
Oh, they're not terrible. I mean, there were so many on mine that I squished them, and then I did actually go, ew, slimy. So I just cut off those leaves. When they get into the little broccoli heads, if you're really hungry, you could eat them. But if you're not, then toss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you
because
could let the plant go to flower because bees love broccoli flowers.
You could do that as well.
They look so happy.
Yeah, you could. I mean, how long would the aphid have to live once the eggs hatched and
You
whatnot?
know, what also can happen in the September garden, Edith, that I was just thinking about, our cucumber leaves can get that white, dusty, it looks like a flowery.
Yes, and my my squash, my curry squash has that now.
If you see that, cut out that leaf, put it in the garbage. You can prevent that by putting on a spray of soap, and baking soda and water.
Good. Oh, good one. That's a good one, Christy.
And I think that spray's on our website.
Yeah. Excellent choice.
There's still stuff to do for flowers in the garden.
Uh-huh.
You can plant pansies right now. You can plant violas, and you'll enjoy them for many months.
Aren't perennials to be planted in the fall as well when it's
Also,
not so hot?
a great opportunity to plant perennials. You'll find them cheaper in your nurseries.
A lot of half-price sales going on.
And you should keep on deadheading, which means cutting out the spent flowers of your perennials and your annuals. But now that it's September, deadhead, but don't deadhead everything.
Because you want to collect seeds for next year.
The flowers need to really dry up before they will make a seed. And also, you can also leave some seeds for the birds in the winter.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea, of course. Yes.
You can also still in September divide iris.
I keep saying I'm going to do that, but I've never done it in all these years.
Folks, all you do is dig up the clump, throw away anything, cut off anything that looks diseased or rotten, and then break up the clumps. Trim the leaves down to about 3 to 5 inches so that the plants can focus on establishing new roots. And then when you replant them, don't bury your iris. Make sure the tops of the rhizomes are showing.
You're also going to notice, you might notice that people leave bags of tubers out because they have too many, and they'll put a free sign on it throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's one of the best flowers to share with everybody.
It is.
Isn't it? You can also divide daylilies. You divide your hostas right now. If you have any tender bulbs in your yard, like dahlias, begonias, gladiolas, dig them up and put them in some place that's cool for the winter. If you want to. If you want to have them next year, or just buy new ones next year.
You know what's interesting? I planted, the gladiolas. I planted these beautiful orange gladiolas about 20 years ago, and I didn't bring them in. And 18 years after I planted them, they came back.
Oh, I love
Two of them.
that. I love that.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
It's like a Rip Van Gladiola.
That's good. I like that, Edith.
Thank you.
It's depending upon where you live, it's probably too early to plant bulbs right now, but you should order bulbs.
Good thinking.
If there's any special bulbs that you want, go ahead and order them. October, November is really a better time to think about if you want to be planting spring bulbs.
Right. Good.
Now, many people think that lawns need less care in the fall, in September, because grass will grow more slowly. However, just the opposite is true.
Oh?
During September, your grass is busily absorbing energy and moisture and nutrients in preparation for winter. So if you give your lawn a little care now, you'll be glad for it in the spring. And the more care you have right now, actually, the easier your lawn will be, and you'll need less water, and you'll be able to take care of it better. So one is to continue to water and mow your lawn as needed.
And
throughout
not
the fall.
Not too short, right? You told us that.
Yes. You never want to take more than a third of your lawn away at a time. However, as the season starts to go to a close, in September, you can drop the blade to its lowest setting for the last 2 mowings of the year.
Really?
This will allow the sunlight to reach the crown of the grass, and there'll be less browning during the winter.
Oh my gosh, because the sun is not as hot.
Good
So
job.
it doesn't have
Yeah.
to shade itself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so clever.
It's also fall. September is a great time to aerate your lawn so that oxygen, water, fertilizer can easily reach the roots. And it's important to, if your leaves start falling in September, to remove them as soon as possible. You don't want to wait until all the leaves have fallen from the trees to start raking, because if you do, rain and dew will stick together and they'll form this mat that's on top of your lawn, and that can suffocate the grass.
Now, if you don't have a lawn like me, I also don't. I rake some because I make the leaf mold, but I do leave some leaves on to protect insects.
Yeah.
Beneficial insects. They like to go under there so that we have butterflies next year.
If you fertilize your lawn only once a year, do it in September.
Okay.
Grass grows much more slowly as the weather turns cool. But the grass roots and the rhizomes will continue to grow underneath. And the rhizomes are that horizontal part that lie just beneath the soil surface that produce the blades of grass. So if you apply fertilizer in September, it means your lawn is getting the basic nutrients for the grass to grow, and then it'll have a good, healthy start in the spring.
Oh, good one, Christy.
It's also a great time in September to fix any bare or bald spots in your yard. The quickest way to do that is just get one of those all-purpose lawn mixtures.
Okay, a lawn
and put
mixture.
that down. Well, speaking of trees,
I harvested my apples.
oh, good.
Not because they were totally ripe, but because if I didn't, the squirrels would have gotten each and every one.
Yes, they are our nemesis, aren't
They
they?
really are. So I harvested them. I cleaned them off, cut them open, cut out the worms, put them in the Instant Pot, and made huge batch of applesauce.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah, it is
it
good.
feels like that is September, isn't it?
That is September. The smell of applesauce in my house is September to me.
It's one of the best times to plant trees is September.
It is a good time, yes.
Largely in part because you can get good root growth as the weather cools down.
And this also depends on your zone. Don't forget, if you have a northern zone, it may even be a little too late because a tender little tree might not make it. So check your zone.
Yeah. If you live in the right zone, that means you can get 3 seasons of root growth before they'll stress out in the summer.
Very good. Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
Make sure if you're going to plant in September that you are looking for when it is wet and cool. Mm-hmm. The cooler the temperatures plus rain means that it'll really help your little baby tree get off to a good start.
Yeah.
A good rule of thumb is if the trees in your area still have leaves, you can plant a tree.
Oh, that's a good rule of thumb indeed.
But
Oh,
to
that's
be
really
100% sure, you should you could
Yeah.
you could check the temperature of your soil, which I don't have a way to do that, but one could.
Also, talk to the people from where you buy the tree. Very often they're so knowledgeable, and you can learn so many things just by asking them. Oh, go in armed with questions.
And go to your local nursery.
Yep, they'll know, and it's for your zone specific.
Lots of fun things to still do in September.
Very fun. Christy, do you hear that ticking of the clock? Do you know what time it is?
Oh, I do hear the ticking of the clock. What does that mean?
What time is it, Christy? I think it's mailbag time.
Ring, 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 ring. Tick, tick.
Tick-tock, here we go. Mailbag.
This letter comes from Mindy. Hello, Edith and Christy. Mindy here in Salt Lake City. I lived in Minnesota for 7 years before moving back to my hometown in January 2020. Like many others, the pandemic gave me the time to tend a garden while working from home. It has brought me so much joy. My grandpa had a tomato farm in Hooper, Utah. Late August meant dozens of bushels of amazing tomatoes for Grandma to can and for daily tomato sandwiches. Like him, I'd be happy spending 12 hours a day in the yard and garden. I'm so glad I found your podcast. The Mountain West is not well represented in gardening podcasts and videos. I've gotten so much useful info while being thoroughly entertained. Your soon-to-be supporter, Mindy F.
What a nice, wonderful email that is.
This made me feel so warm.
I'm really glad.
Yeah, it's nice to know that this type of area can, that we have gardeners here that are listening to us, that like our sense of humor and like our info.
And they're our neighbors. Utah is our neighbor to the west, said Rand McNally.
Yeah.
Over here.
I love the ideas of bushels of amazing tomatoes for Grandma to can.
Yeah.
Mindy, will your grandma come over and help me can my tomatoes?
Oh,
That'd be
poor
nice.
Christy.
I will make the tomato sandwiches.
Hey, everybody. Write to us.
Yeah, so if you have stories, you want to tell us about how your garden is going, you have questions, successes, flops.
Gardening questions. We love hearing from you. Even if we don't know the answer, we will try to find the answer.
Write to us at upsidedowntulips@gmail.com or at our website at upsidedowntulips.com.
Check out the show notes.
And now it's time for your weekly inspiration.
I'm not going to say who wrote this up top because I think you're going to be surprised. Here it goes, quote, "You should make something. You should bring something into the world that wasn't in the world before. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a table or a film or gardening. Everyone should create. You should do something, then sit back and say, I did that." Ricky Gervais.
Oh,
We love Ricky Gervais. Usually so
Yeah.
sardonic and
Yeah.
sarcastic. How sweet is that?
That's amazing, Ricky. I think about you in a whole new way now.
See, gardening makes people sweet, even Ricky Gervais.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we're so grateful that you joined us for this episode. Thank you so much.
We are Edith Weiss and Christy Montour Larson.
If you got some laughs and some value out of this week's episode, could you do us a favor?
Hit that subscribe, like, or follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thanks so much to Denise Gentilini for composing and performing the Upside Down Tulips theme song.
For more of Denise's music, go to denisegentilini.com, or you can find that link at upsidedowntulips.com.
And thank you to our kind and talented and probably the best announcer in the world, David Sloan. And special thanks to our local nursery and friend of the show, Southwest Gardens.
Join us next week for Garden to Table, No Cook.
No one wants to sit over a hot stove all the time, right?
No, not now. No time. Thank you.
And don't forget, if you make a mistake,
Your garden will forgive you.
Upside down tulips.
Fiacre. I didn't know what to say.